Hey, folks, it's Andrew Brown, and welcome to another week of Claude Code Camp as we are kicking off into week one baseline agent. And I hope people like the graphic I made there. So there's been a bunch of, I haven't seen any of these shows, but there's a bunch of animes that are coming out where the main character, like, they're not living their best life, but they really like to smoke. And so we embodied that for fun. I don't really recommend smoking, but no shame for those who smoke. Sorry, Bake, I'm not shaming you, but anyway, I just thought it was fun as a little Easter egg. But anyway, you can see we have a guest instructor here this week, so we'll let Tim introduce themselves. And I don't know why that it's showing that one out of order, but that's fine. I guess the first thing we should just point out is that
Typical.
Tim is a strategic Japanese language acquisition cross cultural communication developer, but as his primary job, he works at Cisco, not to be confused with Cisco, the food company. Um, and so I think you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean 15 plus years is accurate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So, and that's fun. I
well,
don't know.
I've been doing it for 15 plus years, so
Okay.
it's quite entertaining.
It's the dream job. You just do when you're a little kid, you're like, I want to grow up to work with fiber. And I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah,
the another interesting thing is that I was surprised how much you knew about Circle Mud. Not like a
that's true.
little, but like a lot. And so I think it's fair that we can call you our SME for Circle Mud.
Yep.
Not only that, you don't even just play the standard character; you play Thief. So,
Yep.
as I was building mine, I was obviously choosing Warrior, and I thought in the back of my head, I'm like, I bet these other ones probably have challenges to them to implement. And I just went, nah, it'll be for whoever shows up and decides to use those and have pain. Well, it turns out that Tim wants to have the maximum amount of pain when working through this boot camp, and so he'll
Yes.
probably share that experience of issues he's had with there. Hey, everybody in the live stream, give me a hello if you are watching. Don't be quiet, folks. I want to see you saying hello there in the stream, so I can see all the folks that are showing up here this week. Um, but anyway, also Tim is known for Cables to Cloud. I don't Is it with an S? Cables to
It is with an
Clouds.
S. There's more than
Okay.
one cloud. Yes, there
Okay.
are multiple clouds.
Multiple clouds, podcasts. I think networking specifically because it has cables in there. But I've been on there a few times complaining about networking. So as long as you say something about networking, you're allowed on the podcast. Um,
Yep,
and
that's
if
right.
you can find Tim in many places, but one I think is a good place is on LinkedIn, as Tim loves LinkedIn. And we actually do have another guest instructor this week, and Rola's back. So Rola is back for another. Is there someone covering the screen? Is my name covering the screen here? It is.
It
So I'm going to
is.
hide that. So Rola is back, making a guest appearance. I was really going to have her on the stream, but like she's like, I got 5 kids in my house, and I was like, that's okay. She's like, no, that's not okay. Let me do a recording. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And so we did a recording yesterday, and I would have gave her own slide, but I didn't really tell her about the whole goblin thing, and so I figured, last minute I probably shouldn't just make a goblin slide for her without her approval. But understand that she does give us a good chunk of her time, and she helps us solve one of the most important questions in the boot camp, which you will have as a separate video that will get released after this live stream here. Live streams are, folks, 2 hours at max or shorter if we decide that we have ran out of steam, like voice or it gets too hot in here or everybody wants to, I don't know, something's going on. But, our cap is 2 hours, and then we move into the Discord for some after class Q&A. I figured what would make sense before we jump into week one is we talk about pre-week, as I realized that I in my head I thought I spelt it out, but I think there might have been a bit of help, like confusion in terms of what should be the deliverables for pre-week, and so we will go over that again. I realize also the slide is cut off a bit. There's not much I can do about that, so I apologize for that. So let's go through the pre-week checklist of what it is that I wanted you to accomplish for pre-week. And if there's something missing here, Tim, just tell me because I just did this off the top of my memory. And maybe I said something else, and so it'd help if somebody calls me out, so to speak. So one thing I'd say, get the container running. Tim, you got that container running?
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
probably the easiest part of the entire week.
Okay.
Honestly.
You didn't pull out like an old i386 and boot up your old Circle Mud server and connect to it?
No, I've long since got rid of that. I couldn't connect it to the phone lines
Mm.
either because I don't have one.
Mm. And oh, I didn't even put a slide on this, but Tim, I don't know if you noticed, but I went to an estate sale last week, and I acquired 7 Commodore 64s, 4 that work. And so right now, Baco has one of the Commodore 64s, and our goal, if we can in time before the end of boot camp, is can we play Circle Mud? You can't run it on a Commodore 64, but can we play
That's
Circle
right.
Mud over the network via Commodore 64? So that is a fun behind the scenes challenge that has no impact on anyone here, but just for fun. Were you able to play the mud and understand the player journey that you think that you need to know for uh going forward? Like, is there any thoughts that came out of your head? You're like, oh, I have to consider this maybe as I build up the agent.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, I'm something of an SME on Circle Mud, even and Daiku Mud, its original version. I haven't played TBA Mud, so it was interesting to see some of the changes. So I was probably a little bit more equipped than most, though, to understand kind of what it means to build an agent to play a Mud. But I got to tell you, the nostalgia hit was palpable when I logged in and saw the Temple of Midgard and everything. I haven't so for, let me think about the last time I logged into a mud. I think I was a teenager still. And I was after high school, so I was probably, 18, 19, something like that. But
Hmm.
my friends and I used to run a mud. We actually ran one that people could connect to. Back then when it was still we didn't, DSL wasn't even a thing, right? We had like phone banks with lines plugged into them and all that stuff, right? So that you could log into. But yeah, I mean, it's been well over 20 years at this point, so it was it was a big nostalgia hit.
I think one of the machines we had there was a VIC-20, or we had VIC-20 stuff there, but I'll have to go through the inventory again. We also had a couple machines that were Radio Shack. I forget the model number. Ultraman probably remembers what they were, as I mentioned them earlier, but they're extremely less powerful than I just didn't. I forgot how powerful the Commodore 64 was comparative to the year
Yeah.
prior. This is
Oh yeah.
insane, the leap of it, but my family had a Vic. Well, we had everything. We had a computer store and computer repair, so we had everything in the house you could imagine at that time. Um, so we'll continue on here. So explore various agent architectures. So the idea is that I wanted people to understand why we are building the mud the way we're going to build in week one and prior, and see if they can feel any limitations. Even if they couldn't, maybe they had to go more in depth play. How was your exploration of those agent architectures? Were you able to get through them all, or just some of them, or
Yeah. So I'd like to. So before we get started, shout out to the Trash 80. By the way, I see the Trash 80 in chat. I believe that was the original platform you could play like Zork on. I saw your discs, by the way, your Zork discs. So you want to talk about Mud? I mean, we're going way back. You want to talk about Zork? Text-based adventure has been around for a very long time. What Mud made interesting about it was the idea of a multi-user dungeon, right? Like somewhere where people could actually play a text adventure together. So yeah, shout out to the Trash 80. Um, I'll be the first to admit that at first I was watching the videos and I was very confused about what the deliverable, like what I was supposed to actually do.
mm-hmm.
And then I realized that the way you had it set up was let's just kind of, and you said it in the video, but maybe it just didn't come clear until later. Let's try the different options basically of like how much work is needed to create a functional agent, right? So then you start with the plain agent, and it was just was it just a player file that said, hey, you're a player, you need to log into this mud and do stuff. And then and as we saw even in your video, actually, you know what? Let me bring up my. This is probably a good time to do this. Uh, if it's all right, I'll bring up my submission for pre-week, and we can actually walk through it, and you can see kind of what I ended up with, and students can see, hey, does that look anything like what I did, or did I go completely off the rails, which I probably did, to be honest with you. But yeah, would that be helpful to kind of get the retrospective?
I think we should do that. We'll go through these slides first, and then we'll look at your
Yeah.
your
Okay.
retrospective.
So,
Um,
so just short answer then. Short answer. Yes, I was able to get through it. It did take a little bit of me figuring out what it was that you were kind of looking for. So, but I did figure it out.
yeah, I think the biggest problem is because I've spent so much time with the content. I don't know when and where I said what we were doing, and I just assumed that I said it 3 times over, but probably it's like hidden in the marketing side and other places. But my thought was just like, I remember Tim, you saying like, when do you use what? And I was like, that's what I was trying to answer, was like, how do you, like, when you have a workload, how do you answer, in what context and what workload? Because I've already played with all levels of architecture, right? But until you actually take an actual use case through it's hard to figure out where does it sit. And obviously there's overlap and some things do work. And so it's not always apparent that, and even if people did the agent architecture, it might even still not be apparent until they do the other week that's coming up, what should be done. The last thing was that I wanted people to get practice writing technical journaling. If you saw the video, you saw that I wrote it by hand. I didn't use AI. Though I would say that in prior boot camps, the demand of writing usually is higher in terms of technical proof. I usually ask for like screenshots and other stuff, but this time I was being more structurally specific in terms of, not that I haven't done that before, but to show people that boot campers that have been here a long time, they already know the procedure here and they've seen all the variations. Any thoughts on the technical journaling? Did you get to that stage, Tim, or?
Yeah, yeah. So I did a hybrid approach to the technical journaling.
Mhm.
So for me, what I did was I wrote part of it like myself, just hey, here's what I was trying to do, and then at different phases of the process, I had Claude basically summarize the work we'd done and what the results were from its perspective, and so I dropped both of those into the technical journal. Like one is hey, here's me, and one is hey, here's Claude, kind of Claude's view of what we've done together.
Yeah, and I think even in our first boot camp, we had a checklist, and everyone would go through and check box it off. I don't know why I haven't brought that back, but I really should, because I realized that we already had a really good setup for tracking exactly what you should do. As I talk, and everything's a bit loose, so it's not always concrete. But I think that's a feature we will bring back, is having a deliberate checklist, and that will make things easier going forward. A lot of people asking, when is the deadline? It's like every other boot camp for all time. It's always before the start of next class. But you know what? I know folks can't get in time, especially the first one. And so even though I say it's a deadline, I'm pretty relaxed on it. So I would say the deadline that really matters is the final deadline. Okay. So if you're coming in midweek or you're catching up for whatever, because a lot of people are always catching up. It's always happening. They get sick, they got work, they I don't know, like there's smoke coming down the hill from fires or from Canada, and it's you're blaming me for it. But the point is that you have flexibility on these times, um, because it's going to be that final one that really matters to me, especially if you want Red Squad. I'm not saying you can't submit after even the final one, but let's try to keep it tight because it helps us, move on to the next thing and things like that. Okay. So I just want to point that out. I want to do a quick poll with our audience here, just so that I have a sense of things. Did you submit pre-week? Okay, can I get a +1 if you did submit for pre-week already? Or actually, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, we'll do +1. +1 if you already submitted for pre-week. 0 if you are working on it, you should get it done today. -1 if you are screwed for submissions. So we'll work on a +1 to -1 thing here. I'll just wait for it to roll in here.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to, for what it's worth, I was able to get mine in, but pretty much under the buzzer because for me, I have like Claude Pro, so I pay for it, but it's not, like all the subscription models. You have to work within the confines of your, usage, right? So there was definitely a few times when it was like you're out of credits, you're going to have to come back, which is an efficiency thing that I did. It's kind of hidden under that I think is hidden under the covers there. You didn't specifically call it out. You kind of scraped on it a couple times, especially when we started to talk about the architectures. But
Mhm.
yeah, I found that as I started talking about efficiency, at first I was like, get it to work, right? Like
Mhm.
most proof of concepts. And then it was like, all right, so actually I'm burning through way too many tokens. Is there a more efficient way for us to work together on this? And we found better ways to do it. So efficiency definitely matters.
Cool. So yeah, thank you folks for sharing here in terms of numbers. A lot of zeros, that's good. Some -1s, which is fine. I do also have in the submission forms considerations and accommodations. So if there's any reason why you're submitting late and you want to, tell me as to why, so that I take that as a factor in for grading. absolutely fill that in there. And there's also a feedback thing. So if anybody here, even though I'm hearing it now and I've gotten the feedback, you can also just formalize it in that submissions form. Because I need to hear a thing for more than one person. Like I know I should put a checklist back in, but when 10, 20 people say it, then it becomes something that will definitively come back as a component to the boot camp. Okay. How hard was this week? How did people feel, aside from the confusion in terms of what we were doing? The difficulty, one being easy, 5 being like super, super hard. So just curious. Also, if anyone's already kind of done this stuff before, it'd be good to hear that. I mean, I think a lot of people probably have dabbled with this stuff to different degrees. But the question is, has anyone taken it through a whole context of a thing and ran through the gambit? Might be a different story here. So just looking for the number. How hard was it from 1 to 5, folks here? Okay, so 1, 2, good, good. 3, 2, good. 3, 1, excellent, excellent. I'm not seeing any 5s yet, so that's good. I'm sure there are some 5s, and that's totally fine. But it's scoped exactly what it's supposed to be. Excellent. Okay, we got a 5. That's fine. I mean, 5's good for whoever gets a 5. That's good because that means they learned a lot, you know. But at the same time, I don't want it to be like super super hard too. But a lot of extra work to get things right. Yeah, that's true. And I think week 1 will be hard because I try to make it on Rails as much as possible. But you know that we're working with AI, so it'll spit out anything different from me. And so I tried to keep it really on the rails for week 1, which we'll talk about here shortly. We got a 4, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to make a marker here so we know in the chat here that we've finished that question here. Okay. And so now for my last one, second last one. How confusing was it? Okay. So we're on the confusion thing from 1 to 5. 1, you weren't confused at all. 5, you're a bit confused or quite confused. And so we'll just wait for the numbers to roll in.
So for me, I was at a solid 3 until I figured out eventually that like what was the lesson to be learned, which was basically how much work as we split up between the different architectures, how much work per architecture or different strategies was going to be needed. That was the lesson to take away. So yeah, I was at a solid 3 there.
Okay, so we're mostly sitting at 3s, which is good. Some 4s, some 5s. Okay, 3s, 4s. Okay. So, all right, we got to get that down to a 2 and 1 next time, but we'll see what we can do. But boot camps are boot camps. So, and just if you can give me a sentiment of how the boot camp's going. So, if you want to grab an emoji there and just throw it at me, just so I have a sense of how you're doing in terms of feelings, just as for fun. And we will watch that roll in here, but we'll move on to the next slide here. So what I want to talk, and I don't know why my slides are broken here today, but I animate them. If you don't test them, PowerPoint will just it's not me, folks. It's PowerPoint. PowerPoint is Garbola. And so I guess they're not even animated. That's my fault. Okay, so I'll just go fix that here as behind the scenes. You didn't see me do this. Okay. And actually, I'll just take off all the animation as this is driving me crazy. This is what I'm doing all day long, folks. And we will bring in this one. And now the Ruby's no longer animated with the Ruby step. Well, that's fine. Whatever. We'll go back over to here. There we go. Like the emojis. Okay. All right. We get a shrugs. Okay, great. Anyway, so in baseline, week 1 baseline, the objective here is to build our custom baseline agent. And we're going to be working over 12 steps. And I want to explain that I've done this 3 times. I originally wrote it by hand, and then I had to have AI help correct it. And it introduced issues that I only found out after the fact. But I realized that when we're trying to build an AI project, it's super, super hard for me to just generate it from scratch, because if I do that, you're going to have something wildly different than me. And so I wanted to have like a baseline, and then we poured it over to a language that people might be more comfortable with, and that you can dive into each section and just try to understand what you're looking at in terms of the code. And so there are 12 components of this, and I just want to talk about it. So the first thing we're going to do with the week 1 baseline is we're going to set up configuration. So I think that when you have an agent, you're going to want to load in configuration, and so we're going to have a custom directory and treat it like a first class agent. You know how like Claude has like a .claude folder in your home directory or something. We're going to have a .bokenshaw where that will hold all of our configuration and anything that the agent has to be powered for secrets and everything. So we're going to use it as dumping grounds for even our logs. Okay. Then we're going to build the skeleton structure. So we're going to lay out the actual data structures that will be used to pass along in the agent, like the context and stuff, as that will be very important for us to manage those data structures so that we can, uh, you know, add things to that data and inspect that data in a way that is very useful. Then we'll be creating the tool registry. So when you create tools, you need a registry to manage them. And I found out while I was working on this that it fully wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. So originally, the context was handling the tools, which we'll see in struct skeleton. And so the registry was supposed to take ownership of it, but it didn't because I thought it did, and then I realized that the AI had rewrote my code back to one of the original ones. And so I run into issues where I'm like, oh, this is not supposed to be like this. And so I'll make a note and I'll say, I don't like it this way, but I'm going to leave it because I don't want to break these future steps. Because once we do that, we have to copy it into all future and past examples, and it's a headache. So I just locked that into time. And the idea was I was going to clean this all up at the end. Then we have the prompt builder. So this is for building out not just the prompt, but I guess it's the schema or structure that gets the payload that gets delivered to the API endpoints for the managed services. What's interesting is that the approach we're taking here is we're not using SDKs, at least I'm not. And so I'm literally hitting the REST APIs directly. My thought process was that some of these SDKs do not expose all the features. So this is really strange, but you think that with AI that every single feature would be exposed in the SDKs. They're not. And so to have full flexibility and just also to show you how simple it is, like to work with it, I figured that we would just use the REST APIs directly. But we have to build that structure. And then we get to see how much they vary between different providers. Then there's the API client, which is very simple. It's just a way of sending an API request to it, to each of the providers. There was one gotcha here, which was with OpenSSL, as we are using a very low-level HTTP server that's built into Ruby, and all providers basically have that, some don't. And so we could have used a higher abstract HTTP server to deliver the API request points, but I wanted the code to be simple enough that we could understand all the moving components, because sometimes these abstractions make it seem more confusing than it is. And so we end up hard coding the OpenSSL for whichever OS you have. Now, in terms of if you want to change this, if you want to switch over to SDKs, you can do so. I would probably just lean away from Open Router and like Amazon Bedrock because they abstract too much away. And then you might lose some of the learning experience, or you could end up in a technical issue down the road when we do logging or stuff like that. But if you want to do it, I can't stop you. But I'm making a strong recommendation that you stick with this because I think that you will end up with a better result with the baseline agent. Then we'll actually build the agent loop. So this will be our first step of building a very, very simple loop. Then we will build logging. So one of the main advantages of building your own custom agent is custom logging. So you can get exactly the logging format that you want. We saw it in pre-week where I showed that log visualizer, and we can extract out exactly the price points and all the stuff and all the information that we want for our use case. And so I think this is one of the most powerful features of having a custom agent. And it's not that we can't do it other ones; it's that you're fighting or competing with these other agent SDKs. Okay, and so I think it's better to go this route. Then we build a domain-specific language. It sounds really fancy, but it's just we have a lot of boilerplate, and we just kind of boil it down to a .run command. And so inadvertently, we're basically making an SDK for our agent. So like for those that have used Claude Code, there is a SDK called Agent, like Claude Agent SDK, and it's just the SDK version of Claude Code. And so essentially, we're basically doing the same thing with ours. And it wasn't because I'm trying to make it complicated. It's just like it's just the natural evolution of like, okay, this will make it easy for us to test, because when you use agents to try to test something that's interactive, like in a loop that's in your command line, it will run into issues with standard input and output. And so by having a code only representation of it, it'll be easier for us to debug when this thing gets more complicated. Then we have the rep loop, which have you ever heard of ATM machine? And people go, don't say machine. The machine's already in the name. I just did that here. So, and we don't need the. We could drop the, and we don't need the loop. It's just rep, which is read, evaluation, print loop. And so when you interact with a, what do you call it? An agent or like any command line, it's interactive. That's using a rep. And then we implement our tools. So we are basically creating the tools that are mapping to the MUD manager, the SDK. This is where it gets hard because up to this point, I noticed that there was things in the code that I did not like that I originally had wrote and that AI had changed. But here I had a big challenge because I know 9's missing. I'll talk about why 9's missing in a second. But in 10 here, my biggest issue is that I needed to implement MCP because we're porting the code from Ruby to Python. And so I had a use case where I needed this, the MUD manager to work with anything. And the MUD manager, even though you didn't make it, it was really hard to get it to work because of standard input output. When you're interacting, there are just always some components that are very hard for AI to handle. And so in this case, standard input output, where it can be interrupted at any given time with any kind of commands, was very hard for me to fix. And I didn't want to put you through the pain of porting it over to Python and hoping that it might work or might not be stable. And so I just said, okay, I will explore MCP. MCP turned out to be really good. I ended up prompting it a bunch and I had to trust the code that was being produced by AI. And so I'll just say, when you get to the stage, you can watch me do it. But afterwards, you can just copy the code over because you will end up with something completely different than me. And you might end up pulling at your hair here. So I would just say that I have literally a 2-hour video of me implementing the MCP, but you could literally go in my repo and just grab it over because I don't want to put anyone through that pain. But watching it's useful, but doing it is maybe not so much. We do the text user interface. So this is another sticking point because text user interfaces are, they make it really, really interactive. So if you love the experience of Claude Code or Open Code, whatever, that's powered by text user interface. The one I use is called Charm, technically Bubble Tea for Ruby, but it's written in Go. And so I thought it would work in Python. But it actually, they're saying that there wasn't a library. There is a library. So I ended up using textual and we ported it over and the experience was better. But that was another sticking point. Then we have context. This one's really simple. We're just saying, like, can we clear the conversation? If we go over our limits of context, we'll be fine. So the only thing that's missing here, for some reasons, is step 9, which is global execution. So we made it a global executable, so we can type Bokenshai anywhere, and it works it. So we have like this first class baseline agent that could be adapted to anything. There's obviously a lot of steps here. You're not going to remember everything I said here, but I wanted to go over it so that if you want to go back and watch this video, you can hear all that stuff. Tim, you got all that down, right?
Yeah, you lost me at 0-1 maybe. 0. I'm not a coder, man, so I'm gonna do my best to catch up and keep up with this.
Okay.
I got the high level of all of it up until you hit MCP, but
okay. But like the thing
yeah.
is that I'm stepping through it every week, and so we're going to show these components. And so if it helps, some people, you could watch it out of order. You could watch the diagramming first, and then watch me do the code. But the process that we will be doing for that week is I will literally be going into each one. So we'll go into each step here, and we'll say, okay, what are we doing? We'll read the README a bit. We'll go, okay, that's the README. Then we'll go into the code, and we'll say, that's the code. My video turned off, didn't it? And then we will go get it working. So a lot of these steps, we're just trying to get them working. And then way later, that's where we're running into challenges. So anyway, do your best to absorb the content. For coders, for non-coders, well, have fun. Have fun, Tim. But I think by the end of it, you should understand all the components or enough of it, right? To do that. For some folks, this might be your thing that you stretch out into week 2. Because if this is hard and you can't do it in week 1, just treat it as your week 2 challenge to get to the end of it. For those that, some people, they'll be like, this is easy, Andrew. I made it all the way to the end, right? They might even finish this in like 2 days. But for some people, it might take you 2 weeks. So just understand like what your background is and how much you can, like what your limits are and what you want to consume. And if you want to take this and stretch out to week 2, just do that and put in the considerations for me, okay?
So one thing as a non-coder,
Mhm.
even in pre-week, trying to understand what Mud Manager was and what Vulkan shell was, I actually was able to have Claude explain it to me in a way that I could understand it, that I could then give it the direction that I wanted to give it. So I get the feeling like I'll be leaning on Claude Code a lot this week to make sense of what we're doing. But you can do that as a non-coder. It'll just cost you a few more tokens.
But it worked well for you, or good?
It did. It did. It was fine.
And so, yeah, the pattern will be getting the Ruby working, diagramming each step, porting it to Python. The porting's pretty easy. In fact, all I did was like take it and port it over, and basically did it every single time with very little issue. So I was quite surprised how easy the porting was. But we are now done our lecture slide section, and so we can move on to something more interactive. And yeah, I know there's a lot of talking, those talking points there, but it'll make more sense as we work through that stuff. And so I'm going to pull that out of the way. And I guess it's now time to explore. So um, I'm actually really curious, Tim, what you came up with. Do you think it's time for you to share your screen and we can dig through some of the stuff you've been up to?
Yeah, I mean, it might be helpful for the students, both the ones that haven't, are working through it and don't know, or that don't know what the deliverables look like. And hell, I don't even know if I got the deliverables right, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'd love to get to show you kind of what I've done, and then get some feedback on, did I hit the mark or did I get anywhere close to where we were trying to get to? And that'll help the rest of the students. So I have no problem sharing my repo and walking through it.
All right.
Give me one sec. Let me figure out how to do that, actually. Hang on one second. Okay, let me try sharing this.
There we go.
All right. Yep, I got to move this out of the way for me so I can actually look at the repo. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is my...
And before you start, Tim,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
increase that font.
Hold
imagine
on.
we're like super grannies here, and we need it super.
Yeah.
You got a really good monitor. That's always the problem.
Yeah, let me know.
Bigger.
I've
we even get vertical bar, so we lose even more real estate. Bigger.
I don't know if I can go bigger. Like my...
Yeah, you can.
Hold on.
One more time. You can do it.
My screen's like... Okay, hang on.
One more bump.
Does that work?
Yeah, perfect.
It's gonna be hard for me to read, but it's a little bit good for you guys to read it. All right, that's fine.
Well,
that's
navigate. Fine. I'm sure you can read
that's
it.
Fine.
Navigating, yeah.
So, like I said, when I started, the thing that I was struggling to figure out is basically what do I need to actually have done at the end of the pre-week. And so,
sorry, just to answer Punchy McPuncher.
Oh, sorry.
You don't have to port it to Python. I ported to Python because I knew that people were going to say, I don't want to work with Ruby in my week 2. Can I port it to whatever I want? And I just wanted to prove that you could port it to something else. So in week 1, if you're fine with the Ruby code, run with it. If you just want to take the last step of the Ruby code and port it like in one step to your language, you can go do that. But I just showed incrementally that I was porting it, that it was possible to do, and we could get the same results, and it works. And so it does work. But like, people see the videos, they go, wow, there's 36 videos there, Andrew. That's crazy. There's 8 hours. You could just cut out all the Python videos, do a single port, and you save yourself time, right? Or, the MCP videos, you just speed through that and it cuts out 2 hours. So there's not as much work there as you could imagine. But anyway, we will let Tim back here. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No worries. So yeah, so what I started with was I realized that I've taken a couple of your boot camps now, so I kind of realized that like really the deliverable from my perspective is the actual technical journaling explaining basically what I did and what I learned from it, and the actual work then to be able to fill out that technical journal was the kind of all the rest, right? So when I started by let me see if I can. This is hard for me to read. Hold on. Okay, so I created I got it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just thinking maybe I could just share your repo on my screen and then we could walk through it that way until you need a demo.
No, but then I got to tell you, click here, click here, click here. I'm good.
Enough. Okay.
So I started with creating the plain agent, basically. Like that was the main thing. We're going to explore different ways to create. The whole kind of pre-week thing was obviously get the mud up, log into it, try to play it, figure out what's going to look like when you build an agent for it, right? So that's what I already knew how mud worked, but it was nice to get the nostalgia. So what I did after that was I went in here and I created the plane agent, and I just did basically what you did in your video, right? I just created like a Claude.md
Mm-hmm.
and player and world thing. So, this was like really, really basic, right? Which is what you did in your video. I just said you're playing TVA mud. I think I might even just copied this part over, honestly, because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like writing it out.
Fair enough.
And when I did it, well, actually, I'll let me just show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you my journal that shows
Mm-hmm.
how it works or what happened. Basically, yeah, this didn't even get this didn't even get filled out because I had so many problems just getting basic connectivity working.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
same problem as me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
exactly.
you're a
So let me
network
go.
engineer, so if you're having network connectivity issues, then well, I'm just saying, like, if there was some like magic prompt that you had, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, I ran into the exact same problem as Andrew, which was essentially I created a Claude.md and said, hey, figure it out. And it couldn't figure it out. It couldn't even figure out how to log into the mud. So here's from a journaling perspective, how I approached journaling was I wrote part of it myself, like as
Mm-hmm.
to what I did and what happened and in my own words. And then I actually asked the model to summarize basically what it was running into. So in this case, for example, I mentioned that haiku
You're
becomes
absolutely. I
immediately.
love that. You're absolutely right. It has to be the first thing it says. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. So what I asked it was literally like, "Hey, it looks like you're having trouble logging into the mud. Can you explain the problem that you're having?"
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, it goes through and says, "Here's the problem," and it just can't. It couldn't understand how to interpret the login, like how to. It didn't understand how to get through the interactive login. Like that's how not reasoning it was. And to be fair, I gave it no direction. Right. All I said was, "Hey, here's where the mud is. I want you to log in." And I think it tried to do it via just like bash shell, like Linux, just Linux bash shell command to do it. And then
Yep.
it got immediately stuck on just trying to log into the thing. So, it's
Oh,
making
sorry,
suggestions about how to improve
Tim. What
that.
we're using? We're using just Sonnet Claude or
This was haiku as you did
haiku.
in the
Haiku. Yeah.
this
Sorry.
was haiku as you did in the video. I ended up bumping it for some of the other work that I did just because I needed it to help me create the to help the understand how Mud Manager worked and how Bulk Kensha worked, but we'll get to that.
Oh, and
So yeah, so
by the way, folks,
yeah,
mostly what I'm using in week one is Sonnet or a mid capable agent. So, and in very few cases, I bump up to Opus as I try to keep it as affordable as possible and use our brains to do stuff. But obviously, when we're running any agent stuff, we want to use the lowest level agent if possible for
yeah.
cost effectiveness and speed. Sorry, yes.
No, that's exactly right. So, and I'll get to that where I kind of landed with that as well. So, I mean, and then this is me, right? This indicates Haiku at least understood that it couldn't figure out how to get into it because of lack of tooling, and it couldn't reason through how to get to tooling. So, I waited like for it to try 6 different times, and then I cut it off and said, "Hey, what's the problem?" So it could explain it to me. And so that was my my very bad experience with the first option, which is literally, "Hey, I'm going to write a markdown file, and you're going to be an agent." Right? It didn't work. So from there, I went on to hold on, let me minimize this a little bit.
Oh, and
So then
sorry,
I went,
just to clarify for
yeah,
folks
go ahead.
here, in terms of organizing folders, the things that I really care about are the top level folders like Week Zero Explore and some specific ones. In terms of Explore architecture, I don't actually have a hard requirement in terms of the naming. So yeah, I did name it 01 Plain Agent in the video, and so maybe in the documentation it might say something slightly different. But for what I do care about, Week Zero Explore, Week One, whatever. Just to clarify that. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Mhm.
Okay, so but I named it the same thing as the videos because it was obvious and easy to do.
Mhm.
So the second thing was agent skills, right? And this
Mhm.
one actually aligned. I ended up learning a little bit more about the on this side. Now I use AI, sometimes reluctantly, sometimes to help me to for a real purpose, for a useful purpose at work,
Mhm.
but always reluctantly, probably because I feel like if the more keys you hand over to AI over time, you start losing some of your edge. But so I've built skills at work, but this was interesting because, well, let me just roll through it real quick. So, all right. So under agent skills, you'll see what's missing or not here is a skills like a skill.md. And
Mhm.
it's because I actually had it create a skill, like an actual skill, and and it installed the skill, in the Claude directory or whatever. So from a data perspective, though, I
Did
did
it
have it.
install it in your home directory?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe that's where it
I
ended
always
up.
have to tell it like no, my project or vice versa.
Yeah,
Sorry, yep.
it might have gone here actually. No, it went here. It went in the project directory.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
So it did go in. I did actually. I was thinking. I thought I told it to do that, but yes, and I did. This is where it installed the skill. So I didn't. In this case, this ended up not being a. I mean, it still ends up with a skill dot, kind of like if you go down far enough, it ends up with like a skill.md or whatever. But other than your video, for example, it's slightly different. But then it created a player.md, and you can see. I basically told when I was building the skill, I said, well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing I had to do was create a skill to log into the mud. And if you won't see it here because I ended up hitting a wall when I had it create that skill. And the wall that I hit was actually that it created the skill just fine. But once it created the skill, let me see, let me find the doc and I'll show you. So once it created that skill, and we'll look at the second option, right? So, I started thinking I need a skill to handle logging in cleanly, after which an agent could use, tooling. But I forgot that basically once the skill has connected to the mud, and I built a beautiful skill that handles all the connection options and, whatever, that's it, right? Like you're only connected to the mud through that one connection. You can't, it's not like you can hand that over to another tool or something at that point. So whatever you have the agent do to make the connection, that's now becomes what you have to have the agent do everything with. So I realized that was not the right way to build that skill for that purpose, right? There are lots of other things that you would build a skill for, and the skill would go do the thing and you would get output, and then maybe other tools or other skills could be used. But in this case, we're creating a live connection to a server. And so when that skill has then done what it's supposed to do to make the connection, it's just kind of dead. Like there's nothing after that because the skill has made the connection, but there's no logic for what comes next. So I realized that was a dead end, and I actually had it remove that login skill. And I started over with kind of like let's create a skill to actually play the mud and include the connecting as just one part of the skill, if you will, as opposed to the whole skill. So, and that's what I put here basically. So the other thing I struggled with was as I was building the skill for playing the mud, I realized that I was working around something of a black box. And that's part of this is because I'm not a coder, which is to say, I didn't write the Bolkensha framework. I didn't create the mud manager. You did to save all of us like a lot of pulling out of our hair. And I don't have much left to pull out, as you can see. But it meant that when I was creating a skill and telling Claude what to build, I didn't quite understand what was possible, like art of the possible. So I had it create a skill to play the mud, and basically it tried to replicate what you had already built with Bolkensha.
So Tim, here's a question. And I'm gonna probably hear a no, but should I have made a video of me walking people how I made those things?
Or maybe just how it worked. I mean, I don't necessarily need to know how the sausage is made, but just understanding. And to be fair, I did go ask Claude after I pulled the repo later. I said, okay, I give up. How does this work? And Claude was able to explain exactly how Bolkensha works and how the mud manager works to give me an idea of what I can build to interact with it or to use the tooling, should I say, more accurately. Yeah, so this is me going through, like, my first attempt was the login skill. That was a dead end. And then, one connection per character. And then the second attempt was the play mud skill, right? I reused the Ruby's gem, the Bolkensha, the mud manager that you created.
Oh, so you're trying to use the mud manager at this stage.
Yes.
Okay. And in my videos, I think originally I just said, well, what would it look like if you didn't have it, right? So
yeah, so I did actually try.
This is your experiment.
I did try to do the if it doesn't exist, and what I found was I ran out of credits very quickly as it tried to.
Oh, okay.
Fix it. Because what happened was I created this skill, and I realized I had Claude summarize this for me, and it's actually incorrect. So I'm probably need to go back and fix this because it cut out the part where I did create a play mud skill, but I didn't use Bokinsha. I told it, or Mud Manager rather. I told it what I wanted it to do. I said I need a skill that incorporates the skills or incorporates the ability to log in. I need it to be able to update player.md and world.md. I want it to, as it moves through the world, update those artifacts. And also I want it to kind of make decisions. And it was able to build all of that. But what happened is when I used it, it logged into the mud, and it all worked, by the way. It logged into the mud. It just and it would, I told it, go do the bakery thing, right? Go to the bakery, and find the bakery thing. Find the list of items at the bakery. And it actually reasoned through it, but it burned
at what cost?
Tons of tokens.
At what cost? Yeah.
And the reasoning, go ahead. Sorry.
So I think like one thing that I did was when I was going through those skill steps, I set up a like I told it to make a script within the skill. Did you try that as well? So like kind of like a proto mud manager? Because I was thinking like if I did that, people would understand without having to build the full mud manager some of the components that went involved. Or did you run out of credits?
So no, what happened was I basically said, I said like don't use that, but let's kind of use that as a framework, like kind of what we need to build. And ultimately what happened was, and Claude later on, I think in here explains that, hey, by the way, this is really wasteful. Claude did everything like step by step, right? Like it logged into the mud. It said, hey, I need to go find the bakery. It looked at the room architecture. It looked at the exits. It did all of that. But every single step of the process was burning tokens as it reasoned through it, rather than offloading some of that. Like what it should have been doing is just making decisions and then invoking the tools to actually do the work, rather than reasoning through every step of the process, ingesting every room description, like just kind of burning through tokens pretty badly, actually. So, but no, I didn't have it build a script or anything because I don't code. So, and I found that the less you know about something yourself, the worse you are at explaining to an LLM how to do the thing. And also the worse you are at realizing when it's gone completely off the reservation, right? Like you just don't know what it's doing. It's saying I should do this. And you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. So sure. That's like true vibe coding at that point. Like I feel like it's completely.
In my first iteration of the agent that I was making, I felt very confident that it was good. But then when I went back and I had to make a video on how to play the mud, I realized I was so misaligned. And so domain experience of all components is very important. Again, if you don't have it, you will end up with some of that by the end of this boot camp. But like whether it's the networking side, the coding side, or the domain knowledge of the actual thing that you're building it for. And so that was interesting. One thing that was driving me crazy, and this is why I obviously wanted to get away from having Claude Code drive it, was that it kept trying to do programming things to accomplish its goals. Like it'd be like, I want to read the world data. I'm like, no, you're not allowed to read the world data. Or it just like would want to make scripts or do things because it thinks it's a programmer despite whatever role you give it. And so to me, that was an indicator that we should get away from Claude Code or any coding SDK as they have their own agentic loops for their specific needs. But anyway, at the end, you were able to did you get to sub agents?
So I didn't get the sub agents. What I did was, I'm trying to find it through here now. So I had Claude write some of the summary for me once I was done with, because this took hours, by the way.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I was like, I can't even remember where we started. Please write me a good explanation of how we got here. So, Claude Codes blades via the skill, not via Bokinsha. So this is the one where it was the bad. This is the one where I just burned through tokens horribly, right? Claude played via just logging in and doing it via the skill that I built, but every single thing was burning tokens. So it did work, right? The character loaded, he loaded in, the agent was able to find all of its data. It actually the formatting on this didn't work out. It navigated to the bakery and got the wares, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically afterward, this is me writing now. I examined how inefficient and realized that the agent was burning tokens for everything. Like every round of combat, it's burning tokens. Like everything that's happening. Also, I noticed that
Very wasteful. Yeah.
at this point, I also noticed that for a thief, the mud manager doesn't have the tooling for the thief skills. So
Yep.
yeah. So and it's true. I'm sure that's true for the cleric as well and the mage. So like
I'm
mages and
sure.
clerics
Yeah.
aren't gonna know how to cast spells or practice their spells yet. That might be honestly, that's probably good because that means that the students, myself included, figure out basically how do I get it to do that? Like how do I get to do the parts that you didn't build in?
I thought about that when I was doing it. And the first thought was like, people can figure it out, and that'll be that'll be good because if I do all the
Yeah.
tools, then there's nothing to do.
Right.
I'm curious, like what our boot campers thought about going through the Asian architecture and if they were surprised how well it worked. I think the thing that really surprised me was sub agents, how effective it was, and how it helped me think about like, oh, I could have multiple agents playing the game at the same time because I was considering the business use case like if it was a real business use case, you probably want more than one player in the world, right?
Right.
And so, if you have the credits to burn, you probably have like 100 players at the same time, and they would cooperate, work together to achieve specific goals. And
Right.
so I just realized that like Circle Med's a little bit dumb, in the sense that the original game did not have triggers or quests, and TBA Mud does. And then
Mhm.
also, I just didn't consider the co-op, and I'd love to know more about like what the co-op experience was for you when playing Circle Mud. As
Oh man.
I didn't know exactly like when you don't have triggers and quests, how are you playing the game? Like, do people leave notes and they're like I don't understand, like because like I didn't even know there was a newbie area. I had to go look through the
Yeah.
visualization map and find that. Like, if you first loaded it up, would someone have told you where to go? You just talk to somebody.
No. No.
People weren't
So
helpful.
let me paint the picture for you, if it's helpful. Actually, I want to catch up on chat a little bit. I don't know if anything came out. Excellent. I'm glad that this was helpful, at least to show people before, that kind of here's the struggle I had and here's what I ended up with. I don't know if it's right or not, but I definitely learned a lot and I technically journaled a lot that will hopefully stick with me. But anyway, so yeah, so let me try to paint a picture, right? So this is back in like the earliest, not the earliest, but pretty much the earliest of multiplayer, right? So the multi-user dungeon is just it's just a text-based world. Think of like Zork, right? Think of Zork or any kind of text-based world where it's like you log in and you're just a character, a class, a level 1 person, basic gear maybe. Actually, I noticed that my thief doesn't have any gear at all. I don't know if that I don't know what happened there. I thought that you're supposed to start with gear, but I might be wrong. Maybe TB Ed Mud does it differently. But anyway, and it's just like it's like one of the closest thing I could explain it to now would be like like Elder Scrolls, like just here's you're in a world and you might have like you might those that give you quests, but imagine there was no quest. Imagine the quest really was level up and get as much loot as possible and like get the highest skills and so on and so forth, and then work with other players to kill big monsters that one person can't kill. Right, like the closest I can equate that to would be like a modern open world like MMO style game. Think of it like an MMO, but like without the graphics, essentially, right? So so that's the goal is to get as high a level as possible, kill and get the coolest loot and get the best gear, right? So yeah, there's no it's not like the Demon King and this isn't like an isekai or something where you're gonna get some powerful abilities and beat the Demon King, right? I mean, it kind of is, but it's the goal of the game is to reach the max level and be as strong as possible and beat as many monsters as possible with other players.
Okay, so like basically you're setting your own goal, like you're with other players and you're basically like, hey, I'm going to try to get to this level. And so you don't need any, I mean, it'd be nice to have quests and triggers, but the idea is that it's very player driven, the social aspect.
Yeah, entirely. Honestly, the original Circle Mud or Deku Mud, entirely player driven, right? Like they built the world and then you are in the world as a player and you got to find the monsters, you got to kill them, you got to get the gold. I mean, it's very much the gameplay loop we're aware of now, but it's got graphics, right? Like think of like your JRPG type of thing. where you start at level 1 and you got to kill the goblins until you level up and get new abilities and all of that, right?
Is there any suggestions you like? Because I mean, I made that guide in terms of how to play through,
Hmm.
but like even Thief, I wouldn't even know what to do. Like so, like as a new player,
Okay.
what would you do? Would you just go to the guild?
So yeah, I mean, what did you make? I wasn't paying attention. What did you make?
I just
Like,
made
what
a
was
thief, but I'm
the?
gonna go over to both.
Okay, you made a thief.
Well, I'm
Okay.
just curious. I'm gonna go over to my settings and I'm gonna change
Okay.
this over to. Oh yeah, and by the way, I have an agent that you folks don't have yet, so I'm just gonna play it a little bit and we'll have an idea of
Okay.
it. But I'm just gonna switch this over to Durano. I just made this character,
Okay.
Durano. The password's testing. Don't anyone tell anyone what my passwords are. And I'm gonna log out of this one, just so
Okay.
that we don't have multiple sessions going here. It doesn't like that. And I technically could run it in the Python one, which is already running here somewhere, which has a nicer interface, by the way, but I'm gonna close it out. I like how the port has a better interface, but I'm gonna go
Yeah.
into, I'm just gonna run Bokenshaw.
Okay.
So I just don't feel like, we can connect to it manually, but I don't feel like driving completely. So like as a new player, what am I supposed to be doing? To go to my guild first?
So the very first thing when you log in, right? Usually there's like 3 commands I'll always run as soon as I log in, right? As soon as you log in, score. Obviously, you showed that one in your video.
What?
Just shows
But now
what
what
you
commands?
are.
What is it as a
Oh, what
player?
thing?
Like, what am I
Oh,
trying to check?
well,
I want to know what gear I have. I need to go. Like, what am I
yeah.
doing?
Okay. So the very first thing you want to do is get some money and some experience points. Like
You don't go to the
that's it.
guild and train your skill first?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's that. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like you could
Go
definitely
to
go to the guild.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
What skills do I need to train? So we'll go ahead and take a look
The only
here.
one you have at level 1 is sneak, I believe,
Okay.
and you're
And
awful at
what
it.
does sneak do?
It makes you hidden. So think about when you're like at the Temple of Midgard and you have the beastly Fido and all that, like running around in the trash. If you're hidden, those mobs will not see you, and depending on if you're good enough at it, other players can't see you either on the list of the room, like where the room shows the things that are in the room. You would be hidden on that list.
Okay. I'm just gonna pull up my logger, so if I need to see what it's doing, we can take a look here.
Okay.
I just figured it would be useful to try to
No,
play a
that's
little
good.
bit and see where this breaks
Yeah.
because I mean we could do it next week, but I'd rather just do it now.
Yeah.
So here we saw that it did TBA mud practice. One
Hmm.
thing I found out was that I had to prefix these just so that we didn't have conflicts later on. Well, so we'll go say go find the thief
The
guild and train the sneak skill
yeah.
as much as it can
You
be.
get one.
Yeah, I
But
know
yeah,
this
you
one,
get one.
but like, and
But
notice it says 40 tools here. When I loaded it up, it actually is loading in the Mud Manager tools plus an external one for file system. It has way too many options. One thing that's kind of driving me crazy is that since I moved it over to MCP, it's trying to use a lot of the catch-all. There's like no, it's not doing it here, but it would do like it's like a raw command where it can do anything, and it's supposed to try to lean more on.
oh yeah. It mentioned that to me. Claude mentioned that to me when it was looking at Bokensha. It was like there's a raw input where you could just kind of tell it what command to use or whatever.
I mean, that's a
And
catch-all as a design. Like,
yeah,
really, you shouldn't really have that, and so I probably will remove it at some point. As sorry, yes.
it's confession time. I have never run this program, the Bokensha. I didn't even know it was a program.
Well, you haven't
Like,
built it yet.
okay.
You haven't built it yet. This is week one.
Okay.
This is what we're building
Okay.
in week 1. Okay.
I was like, was I supposed to be using this because I didn't
You're
use
behind.
it?
You're behind, Tim. No. This is what we will have at the end of week 1, right?
Got it. Got it.
Even if you don't understand week 1, if you get through it, you'll have this.
Okay, got it.
You'll be like, I don't know what I did, but I got it. So right now it's going through and it's going to see if it can find that first location here. I mean, we did this in the first week as well, but like I didn't have you here for this, so we can ask much better questions. So we have the location. I know it's like I can't scroll here, so this is one issue with my TUI, which I think I fixed in my original one. I just don't want to fix it now.
Okay.
But here's the weird thing: is that I realized that I don't even really need a text user interface because the camera keeps turning off. Because this log visualizer does the same thing but better, except it's not real time. Right. And so I think originally I did not have this log visualizer, and I had the text user interface, and then I was like, oh, I really should have a log visualizer. Now I made this kind of redundant. So there is a case where you don't really need a text user interface if you make a better web interface. But here we see that we hit our limit of 60K. So I did implement it, but I haven't really tweaked it much. How did we already hit the limit?
Okay. Well, that's pretty impressive, actually. That's a lot of tokens.
Yeah, how did it hit that limit already? Well, let's see what it
Did
did.
you do anything earlier? Well, hold on. Does it show you per tool call how many
Yeah,
you
yeah.
used? Yeah, it
Yeah, yeah.
does.
It shows incrementally. So here, let's just
does.
follow through. And this is how you learn how to make the journey during the level work really well. We see, look, like doesn't like it goes like incrementally up here, but here we practice. Maybe I should have cleared it over and started over the session, but then we go find the Thief Guild. I'll help you find the Thief Guild and train your sneak. Okay, so we look, we check. Here's at 11K. I'm at the temple. Good. We're going to move south. We're going to move south again. We're going to move south again. Common Square. We're going to move east. They found the Thieves Guild. They're at the Thieves Guild. Let me explore the Guild Master so I can help train. And we're in the secret yard. So, and then they found the potential thing. We hit our max at 60K.
Interesting.
You realize whenever your guild master moves, you fail to notice it. The way of the true thief. Okay, so fine. And so we made it here, and we've hit our max tokens, and we're over the limit. So technically, that's okay, because technically it's supposed to compact. Because in step 12, like when I came back to, let me go back over to here. I'm just trying to figure out how we can tie back any of the information here, because this
that's good.
Would be hard. But in week 12, the whole point of week 12 is like, what happens if we go over our budget limit? It should compact the conversation, right?
Step 12, right?
You can go forever, like like with
like
ChatGPT. So let's see if it will do that. But let's see. It says successfully navigated from. This would be nice if this rendered out as markdown here, but found the Thieves Guild. What's unfinished? Haven't trained yet. Need to interact with the guild master. Need to use one practice skill. Talk or interact with the beggar, whatever. So I did tell it to do it, but because it reached that limit, it kind of just scaled back. So I want to see if it auto compacts. Now notice here it says 2.9 out of 200,000, right?
Your context window. Yeah, okay.
Context window. So this limit must be self-imposed by me somewhere. So it's probably in my settings. So I did all this, but even in practice, it's kind of hard to tell what you're doing here. So somewhere here, we should have an override for this, and I don't see it here. So it must be hidden in my code. If I go to my week 12 here, I know folks were ahead of the game here, but you can always come back to this and watch it to make more sense. But in this week, we implement this 12 context, and I think it introduces a like a max output token or something that we can adjust. That's not showing up in my
I saw it somewhere.
Well, I'm seeing it, but I'm not seeing it for the configuration. But anyway. That's fine. The thing is that if we continue on, it should reset. So please train the skill, and we'll see what happens here.
So the reason I didn't mention to start with this is because honestly, one training is not going to be particularly useful. But yeah, so what happens is every time you level up, you'll get more abilities to train. So what we would usually do is, and this is not just Thief, this is pretty much any of them. We would log in, we'd gain like 1 or 2 levels, and then we'd go because then we'd all have the money and everything for gear and all that. We go train it up at that point. But I'm curious to see what it that's it. You practice for a while, and then now it just needs to look at and see how you've improved, which you probably haven't, honestly.
But look here, it did reset the context.
It did compact.
It did compact. And so but I really want to improve this. I think before I move on to week 2, I'll probably make this out of from a Ruby app. I'll tell it to port it to TypeScript so I can see it real time, because I think I prefer this as the interface as opposed to here. Even though I went through all that effort.
It's nice. It's nice. Yeah.
You can see how you could just get out of hand and add a lot of stuff here, like menus and. But anyway, so here we practice our training skill. Your sneak has improved from awful to poor. You've used 1 available practice session. You now have 0 practice sessions remaining. That's fine. So now.
You want to try and have him try?
Well, I mean, so what does sneak do?
Like I said, it hides you from NPCs and other players. But I mean, right now your skills is bad enough that it probably won't work.
So is that like for stealing?
Yeah, you can absolutely steal. Yeah.
Okay.
You can steal.
You can also. Is there anything you can actually steal at this point, or no?
You'd have to look. I think the guards. You don't want to steal from the guards; they'll beat you to death. But there's like in the movie area. I think there's like a newbie that has some coins on him and stuff. It's not. It may not be worth it. The thing is that it also lets you sneak past later on when it's a little bit better at it. You can also sneak past aggressive monsters with sneak. So like
Okay.
if like something that's going to attack you, you can just sneak past it.
So, but sneak right now is useless.
I mean, it's poor. It went from awful to poor. It doesn't really become I would say it doesn't become useful, not useful. It doesn't work all the time until you get maybe a few more practice sessions in, and then
How do you?
it's
How
always
do you?
good. Yeah,
When do you get more practice sessions?
as you level up, when you level up, you get more practice
But
sessions.
every
Yeah,
single level, or
yeah,
multiple? Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Every level. Yeah,
now I'm here. Do I go to the newbie zone and start leveling?
if you want to. Yeah, that's probably not. Oh, do me a favor. See what are you wearing? Because my thief started with nothing. He was naked. I was like, what? I
I'm
thought they
wearing.
were supposed to start.
I
I said,
thought you were gonna
what is your thief wearing?
what do I have for inventory? I think in this world you don't have anything.
Okay.
So I
When
think
I
like
started cleric, I started with something, which is weird.
oh, you did. Okay.
I did. So that was interesting, right? I think original circle or Deku, you do start naked, but there were maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I thought there was some where you would start with gear or
Nothing.
something. Anyway, yeah, you've got nothing. Okay, I was just
Okay.
so then basically this is like I remember your main goal is to level up, but also before you can really start leveling effectively, you really need to get some money and get some gear. Some mods would build it in where you would go to like the donation area and other players could actually donate equipment like wherever they're at. Like if say they pick up something off a monster like a dagger and they don't need it, you could actually type donate dagger and it would just like disappear from your inventory and pop into the donation room. Now in this case, obviously you have no other players, so that's not going to happen. But that was one way that you could always other players could help you.
When you originally played the game, when you logged out and logged in, were you always back at the same location or the same
It
location you
depends.
saved?
Yeah, it depends on the mud. That's a
CBA must
setting. If I
change it.
remember correctly,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, it's a setting that you can choose. The default, I believe, you would always log in at the Temple of Midgard, or maybe I'm remembering that backwards. It's
Here it's
been
like, do
20
you want me to
plus
help me find
years.
equipment or items to pick up? It's like, how would you find anything? There's nothing to find.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can kill a few monsters. I believe the newbie zone also has one of the only quests in TBA mode, which is like they want you to like help find a dragon or something. I think is what my agent saw, which I didn't have it do because I didn't have any gear and whatnot. But yeah, you need to get some money and you need to get some equipment, and then level up. It all kind of happens at the same time.
So here it just keeps stopping because it hits that internal limit. It's not blowing
Right.
past the context, but the idea is that there's probably a parameter that can be exposed in the settings, which I don't know what it is right now. I don't want to waste people's time typing like find me the
Right.
parameter. But um, anyway, it's moving towards there, but it seems like it takes forever to level though.
It's not bad. You kill four ish of the equal level mobs, and you should get a level at least the beginning. Like, obviously, it's like D&D and like all the other games where it becomes harder and harder to level, and you need more and more XP. But yeah, the first couple levels aren't too bad. The problem is, of course, we're doing this through the lens of an agent that has to sit here and think about it, so it seems a lot longer than it is usually. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say you kill like four ish equal level monsters. The real problem is that right now an equal level monster is actually a threat because you're not wearing anything. You don't like you're just tickling it to death with your fists. So that's the other thing. It takes a little bit longer. So, but like this is the sort of from an agent perspective though, you're kind of touching on some stuff where are you gonna be? Do you expect to tell the agent via Bokensha, like, hey, kill a monster, but make sure it's a monster that I can kill? Or are we trying to hand more of the reins over to the agent, like, and then have it in the agent spec, like, oh, by the way, this is how you tell whether or not an enemy is defeatable? Like,
I think the thing is that what we should be doing is setting broad goals. We should be saying go and defeat we know there's a Minotaur that's the
Yeah.
boss that. Cause maybe another player told you like, oh, you're supposed to go to the newbie zone and defeat the Minotaur. You're like, okay, great.
Right.
Like assume like it was a quest. Like our quest is that we need to go defeat the Minotaur, and so go and do that. And so it should devise a strategy
Mm-hmm.
and perform that. But the thing is that there are different ways that you can play, and so I realized that different players have different metas, right? And so some players,
Mm-hmm.
and
true.
also you have to think about our use case. Our use case is to like act like how different players would play, and so maybe the persona of this player is that they are very cautious. And so I'm not sure how you play, but it's like as soon as I have enough money, I run back to town and I save the money and I go back. And instead of even if I could buy, the first gear, I would probably like hoard more money to get like the next second best thing. Like when you play Dragon Quest,
Yeah.
do you buy the first
Yeah.
one or do you save up for the second one? Right?
I usually, well, it depends on how much trouble I'm having. Speaking of Dragon Quest, right? Like if I'm struggling and I have to heal after every fight, then I'll probably go ahead and get the first one because from a time investment perspective, it's probably going to save me more time from having to run back and heal. But yeah, if I'm on like equal footing, then I will absolutely save up for the next level. Because I've been playing RPGs a long time, and maybe this mud thing has also trained me that way. It's you have to do some math to figure out like the amount of time that you're investing in having to heal and the amount of XP you're making. Like it's almost like a math problem, like an algorithm, right? Like, would I save enough money or enough time rather by doing this minor upgrade and such that I would get to the upgrade I want faster, or would it be better to just save up for that second thing?
In terms of week 1, I mean, the accomplishment is we need to. I mean, literally, the checklist will be steps 1 to 12, right? Because the idea is
Well, that's
that you
easy.
want to deliver. I know that's supposed to be really on the rails, but that you want to deliver that like the thing that I'm playing right now. This thing, that's what you're delivering. You're trying to get the baseline agent working. That's your only goal. There are 12 steps through it. You don't have to port the code over. I leave those open because people don't necessarily want to use Ruby for whatever reason. And so the main goal is get a baseline agent working and understand how it works, because you need to use this if you get to week 2 and you want to do week 2, where it's wide open, that you have to add your memory layer and your goal management, which, by the way, like Rola's in the video that you'll see later today when it's released. But a thing that we should have talked about, which was as soon as the video ended, we talked about what the hardest part was. It was building that. I call it the outer agentic loop, but it's like management of memory, management of data, how to determine goals and things like that. That's the hard part, and I don't have a perfect solution for that. And that's where all this loop engineering comes in, as that's where the most unknown domain is right now. Like building this baseline thing is, I think for a lot of people, they don't know how to do it. But for those that are working as AI engineers, this was solved last year. We know how to do it, right? And technically, in the boot camp last year, or even Tim, we kind of did this a year and a half ago when we were trying to build a text adventure game that was for Japanese language learning. But it doesn't click until you go through this a few times and going, oh, we're kind of doing the same thing, but we're a little bit farther ahead. But anyway, what's interesting is that here I was telling it to go, level up, and there are little creepy crawlers crawling here, and it's not even assessing them, right? So here
it's not considering them at all. Is it just
it's not
fighting
even
them?
yeah,
It's not even trying to fight them. Actually, it's not even.
Yeah, it's like moving around. It's like, I don't see any mobs. It's like you just passed some mobs.
Oh, this hasn't. I didn't run into this yet, but okay.
You could fight. Are you considering them?
Yeah.
And so this is where I gotta be explicit. Like, go fight the creepy crawly mobs until you like. And this I gotta get too detailed now, right?
Right.
So if we had a main goal, our goal would be like go fight the Minotaur, and the persona would have to update the task list as it's going. Okay,
right. How do I get to
that? Yeah. So that's the hard part. But it'll be like, okay, I gotta go to the Minotaur, so I need to first go to the starting. Like, we have to assume that they know some things. Like, they know that there's a newbie zone and they know there's a Minotaur. And so they go in that area and they say, all right, what is the first thing I need to do to get to the Minotaur? Should I try to figure out the map as much as I can and determine where does it become too dangerous for me to get forward? Like what's my risk tolerance for death? Like, do I even care if I die? Like, I have no money or anything. I could speed run Like if I'm a super optimizer, I can just try to go as far as I can, and if there's no risk, why not do it? And then you find
Right.
that okay, there's no dangerous mobs up to this point, and these are the mobs I saw. So and I can tell like, oh, I'll fight these mobs and these mobs and these mobs, and like how many do I have to defeat of each one, and when can I get this weapon, and what, like, so all
This
that
is.
has to be figured out, but as personas as well, like giving it flavor as
I
like,
mean, this.
right.
I don't know, man. This is the to me. This is the question, right? Like
Mhm.
to me, that is the crazy part. Like when I'm trying to build an agent, and I struggled to understand what is the difference between an agent doing like agent things and like what is a skill doing skill things, and like how is a skill, at what point is a skill just one thing and then the agent can use it. Like I've struggled as I've been learning this. I've struggled to put these things in these boxes, but I think, yeah, like the ability of an agent to take to break down an end goal into multiple sub goals and then figure out how to accomplish them. I think that's the golden ticket, right? Like
Well,
that's
week
the.
week 2 is going to be interesting because like I will have a week ahead of everybody here, and then I'll come back with it. Like I've done it already twice, and I would just say that AI cannot really solve it for you. They'll come up with something, even like Fable can't do it. And
Yeah.
so I think that that'll be interesting to come back here. But notice here that like it's now using consider, it's now using attack and saying considering who the player's not here. So I think it's not passing these additional things. There might be something wrong with our tool call underneath.
It
So I'm
didn't
gonna go.
look. It's moved. The crawler moved, and it didn't look to see if it didn't look. It didn't look to see that the
Oh,
crawler's not there anymore.
oh, you think
Probably,
that's what it is?
I think, because otherwise it would have worked. Like
Okay.
the command is
Yeah.
right. So,
The crawler, the thing
like verify
moved.
before you attack it. Verify it's there, right? Or before you try to consider it, verify it exists,
The
and then do
reason
it.
the reason you can't no, thing is accurate. Thing is accurate, but the crawlers move. So you are. Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot their move. So you aren't observing if they are there or not and where they have moved. That's where that makes this even harder, right? These things aren't static; they're freaking moving.
Right. And
Assuming that's the
well,
problem.
and so you have to build it. And this gets back to the whole question I was having, which is like, how much of Bolkensha is you telling the, because you can, if you, it's almost like prompt engineering, right? Like you can go tell the agent, oh, make sure you look, make sure you consider, make sure you fight it, that it's the same level. And you can put all that in the
But then why aren't you just doing it
call,
yourself?
if you will. But like then you're just playing the game, right?
Yeah.
Like at what point you need to build what you're talking about, which is that reasoning layer. Tell the agent like, hey, this is what you should be doing every time. You shouldn't be asking me for like, because at one point when I was testing this, I just told the agent asked me a question. It was like, what should I do? Should I go find a torch? Should I attack this dragon? Should I like find some gear? And I was like, I'm gonna put this back on you. The whole point of this is that you're supposed to figure out what to do. I've given you like ideas of what you should be doing. You make a choice. And it was like, yeah, you're right, perfect. And it went and figured out that like, hey, I need to go find a torch because all these rooms are dark, like on its own, right?
And here the other problem is like by the time it finds something, it'll stop and I have to tell it like explore to the south.
That
Okay, so
running out of context, running out of tokens, and it not automatically doing something about that, like it's stopping and waiting for an answer or you to do something, definitely is
well, that was
an
my
issue.
design, right? That was my design.
But that
Yeah.
was by design.
Yeah.
Right?
But I mean, we could increase that limit. So it says 60,000. I think the default 600, and so we'd have to expose that. But the other thing I'm realizing is that I can't really tell. Like, even though they show this here as the call, I don't know what the call looks like underneath. Like,
Like what it actually typed in.
what did it actually type in, right? And so
Yeah.
this makes me like this is another uncertainty where I'm like, I don't know if it actually went like consider newbie target, even though like it seems like that's what it did. So maybe that's another thing I need to expose here to have more certainty for troubleshooting. Oh, it engaged a monster. Well, wouldn't it be fighting it right now? And if it stopped, we might die.
And you died. That would be pretty funny.
So here,
Oh wow, that was the one where it was you need some luck. I am curious to see how this goes. It looks like you are going to die with your 3 hit points.
let's keep fighting.
I'm taking damage. Let's keep fighting. Yeah. So if you scroll down, I'm positive you just died because you had 3 hit points at the last time it talked. Continue attacking, but I'm at critical health. Should try to flee.
Did I beat the did I
You're dead by this
was I
point.
successful? So another thing, it's like, okay, if you're like, I think that if you're in a combat situation now, you probably would want to delegate it out to a script because, like
Right,
that's so.
exactly.
I didn't even think of that. Like that's so.
You're burning tokens every
uh,
time something happens.
But you can't even respond quick enough to like do
Oh,
whatever.
in this
do,
case,
right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you
So,
can't even do anything. Yeah.
and so let's see
Um,
here. So no, you did not beat the mob yet. You still are active in combat.
what would you
And
like to
so-
do? It's too late by this
Well,
point. Whatever I wanted to do.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting. And this also is very obviously, as you said, very wasteful. So, but yeah, so you could see like why this doesn't, like, even though we built the whole thing and it technically works, we're already running into trouble. So but yeah, I guess the thing is, like, if you had it in combat, like, I guess it would spawn in the background. It technically wouldn't be an agent, but it'd be like a background task.
It could just be a script that says, if you've got this much hit points, keep fighting, or if you've got this much,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes, but the thing is, like, you would probably start that up, and the agent would be like, start up battle mode, and then the battle mode script is running, and
Agreed.
it can pull and look at it, and it could
Right.
adjust the battle mode and pull at every whatever, or the battle mode could trigger for a sentiment, but the sentiment, like the information that the AI would have to be super fast because it's super twitchy,
Yeah.
right?
It is twitchy. I mean, it's not super. I mean, it is twitchy. It's every 3 seconds or something like this. You get an update, a combat update. I think it is. But yeah, you died because what I find interesting is I could have sworn you told it to consider the monster and then not attack something that would beat your ass.
Yep.
He just went right after.
What it said was like, oh, I can't. I think it couldn't handle the moving monster, so it found something that didn't move as much.
Maybe.
And so, have you tried local LLM models, Andrew? Yeah, I actually did. Gemma 4. I mean, I do it on live stream here, but I think it might consume too much memory. But it works great, surprisingly. Gemma 4 I can run on my 5070 RTX, whatever. And it's extremely capable. And I mean, to me, that's impressive because that means that we don't need to, we're not like fully dependent on Claude models if we can get this stuff fine-tuned, right?
So,
sorry, yes. But here's another
real
thing.
quick. Real quick. Siddharth pointed out something. He says this can be solved by saying fight till you die or level up and rest if your HP is below 5 HP, and a haiku will follow it. This gets, just to reiterate, right? This is about this then becomes prompt engineering, right? Like how much are we prompt engineering?
No, but the problem is you can't do that because it has to continually engage, right? And so every time you do that, the AI has to go, what's the response? It has to pull. That's consuming. It can't even react fast enough.
Yeah.
So like what you'd have to do is say, make that a script as your base logic, right? And so you still have a script, and so you're better off just writing a fighting script that has.
I agree with that. It can do it faster. Well, you have faster than the AI can react.
You're basically making like AI, like an AI for the whatever we call AI.
It's a tool.
It's not AI, right?
It's kind of like a tool, right? It's a tool that the AI is going to use.
So,
right?
But here's an interesting thing: is like it says, find a cleric, NPC, or healer. Like we know that there aren't. I mean, I'm not aware of any that can do that. I just know you sleep and you heal, right?
Okay, it depends. I'll say it depends. In some variations of Circle Mud, you could go to the temple, or there'd be a priest, and the priest would just have a trigger that, like, if a player came in hurting really badly, it would cast Cure Light Wounds on them. I don't think it's in this one. I don't think there is one here. But yes, in original, like in the game, yes, if there was a cleric, they could heal you. Yes.
Sure, but let's say the AI doesn't know that. Like the AI doesn't even know that you can sleep or whatever. So are we supposed to load it up like with some base knowledge about the game, or
I feel like that's needed, right?
Probably, right?
I mean, you kind of did some of that with the tooling that you built, the Mud Manager tools, but there's stuff missing. Like, for example, when I had it add the thief stuff, it added rest, sleep, and some other ones that you didn't build into the tooling, for example.
Oh, I thought maybe it's not in there. But anyway, I guess even if it has those tools, it doesn't, like, it would only imply being like, oh, I'm injured. But what, even if it had rest, it wouldn't know that it should rest.
It wouldn't know that's how you heal. Yeah, that's a good point.
So
right?
we need some base knowledge in there for it to know.
Right.
But yeah, when I originally was building my very capable loops, I kept running into running out of credits constantly, and that was my like not credits, but running out of tokens based on the limitation that I set for it. And
Mm-hmm.
also, the biggest issue was when you made a goal, like how much do you break down the task and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I didn't have personas at that time. I hadn't considered personas because I wasn't thinking about the business use case enough.
Right.
But anyway, is there anything else that you think that we could unfurl here? But I mean, obviously, like the baseline agent's not capable, and so we are justified. Like, I'm hoping everyone here realizes that not only is our
Yeah.
baseline agent not capable enough, but like even the stuff we did in the first week, there's no way it could do this, right?
Yeah. Right. Well, especially the part you pointed out where it's going to have to create a plan to go from level 1 to level 34 and kill the Minotaur or whatever. Like it could not even begin to figure out what that plan looks like. That's like, to me, that's the golden ticket. If you could make an agent that could actually plan out that entire process and execute it, wow, that'd be
Well, I,
amazing.
I feel like we can build something, but the question will be, is it worth it? Because like when I was trying to build out, and this is a different thing, but when I was trying to uh, um, document every single coding standard we have in our main Exam Pro application, just for the JavaScript side of it, I ended
Mm-hmm.
up making a large text file and describing all the commands. Like I had a whole basically knowledge base of all the things that you know, and like I just couldn't get it to do it, or it just the cost of going through all like the 40, 50 checks that a normal
Yep.
person would do, it just failed to do it. And so at the end of it, like if it could do it, the cost outweighed a person. And so,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? And so I don't know, but my thought is that we could end up in a situation where we realize, oh, it's really bad for this use case, and or like we're not there for that use case yet, and we will never be there
Right.
in the next year, and so still
Right.
hire your humans, right? And
That's
I
entirely
don't care what the
possible.
solution is, but I'm just saying like
Right.
that's a possible outcome of this boot camp because we don't know.
Yeah.
And
No,
something that
that's a very good point.
and then something that Rolla said was that this is in the video is that she says like every 6 months, like she's building she's engineering workloads, and she says the stuff that we build becomes obsolete in 6 months, and then we start a new architecture for the same company,
I
right?
believe it. Actually,
Like
I believe it truly.
so anyway, I'll see everyone here in boot camp in 6 months.
The
But
entire changed in 6 months.
but I think we're a little bit done here early. I don't think I have much more to explore here. I think I hit the points that I wanted to. Is there anything that anybody wants us to explore on stream while we're here? Is it starting to click with people? Like, why do we have to build a more capable agent? Any thoughts out there in our audience here?
Yeah, I think that's the.
Well, is there Western mods? That'd actually be kind of fun.
I mean, there's lots of mods. Like honestly, there's less than it used to be, but there's actually some that have a web-based interface as well. Although really, all it is a socket, a web socket that just shows the mud in a website. Like
I think I might have already told you this, Tim, but like there was a company that makes like an online text adventure game, and they reached out. They're like, "Hey, how does your thing work?" They
you're
were like,
like,
they were literally like, we're really interested in what you're building. I was like, oh, I'm sure you are. And that was my. We already said this last stream, but that was my thing. Is like, doesn't matter what you build, there's always someone that wants to buy it if you tell people about it. Have you tried building
yeah.
an agent using Hermes or any OSS tools? In fact, this bootcamp originally, I thought people wanted me to show them how to use Hermes agent and to extend it, but I wouldn't say there wasn't any interest in it. But like the idea was that the question was, how does these things work? And originally, we were going to build an autonomous agent like Hermes, and so this was supposed to be easier. It turns out building this is actually harder than an autonomous agent because an autonomous agent relies on generics in terms of generic memory, generic everything, and it's basically plug and play. And so our baseline agent, if we wanted to turn into an autonomous agent or a coding harness, it's actually easier than this use case. But I thought that this would be easier and fun, and it turns out it's not, because when you get into specialized things like this, you need specialized memory, specialized goal planning, specialized everything in your agentic loop. And so we could definitely do Hermes, and I've considered making a Hermes course, but those kind of things. But folks drove me to say do this because we want to understand actually how it works underneath.
One thing I've been going through this, and I don't know it well enough. Like you mentioned Hermes, I haven't actually played with Hermes at all. I barely know what it is. But to improve and this gets back to what, I guess, what my original question was about, how much of this should be prompt engineering, how much of this should we be handing over to the agent, or actually just creating the layers that you're talking about. That I haven't seen the video with Rolla either yet. If you created the layers that could explain, like, hey, when you're hurt, sleep, when you're, use this skill, like this, basically you're just laying out almost like a workflow for the agent. Do you think like that would be enough to shore up the issue, or is it even more fundamental than that?
I don't know. I mean, I think the thing is that I really tried to build these giant loops using AI to have a workflow, like a very specific structure, and it didn't work
Mhm.
out. And then I realized I have to step
Ah.
through it piece by piece and test it. The challenge is like if you don't have the full loop, it's hard to test each component. And so
Mhm.
I don't know. I
Mhm.
have to
That's true.
have a radical rethink of how I'm implementing it for week 2. What we did with
So
Rolla was I had a very specific question for her that she answered for me when I had when I was in Montreal and we got some Turkish food's really good, by the way.
it
But
is.
but anyway, so I feel like I'm like really low. I'll just zoom in a bit that I'm not so like there you go, folks. That's a bit more normal. I just feel like I'm sinking into the ground here. But
Under the couch.
into the couch. But the main question I had for Rolla, which was like, um, these models have an intelligence switch, right? So like while I was working through the code here, the main thing that I was trying to figure out was like, how is it reasoning? Like it says, I'm
Mhm.
taking damage. Let me keep fighting. That's just observability. That shows you a little bit of
Yeah,
information, but that's just
but now it
pre-ramble.
decided. Yeah.
That's just telling you like what yeah, I've already decided. So can I get the reasoning information? And
Right.
with these agents, they have a if I go over to here, and we might have talked about this last week. I don't know. I'm gonna bring it up again. But in here we have an option that says thinking, right? Thinking on or
Mhm.
off, which
Yeah,
apparently
it's
it might
supposed
go
to feedback. It's supposed to give you that, vocalize that reasoning and all that for you,
yeah.
isn't it?
But the thing is that if you turn it off,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work the same way. It's not gonna reason the same way because
Oh,
it's just
it's a full reasoning thing. Okay, I thought it was just
but
the
well, we don't know,
vocalization.
that's the problem. So, like, when I talked to Roll, I said, "What's happening underneath?" And she says, "Well, this is probably what's happening, but we don't know. We don't know if it's giving it more, tokens. We don't know if they have a system in front of the model. We don't know if, like we have no idea." And
Mhm.
so the takeaway was you need to
That's
treat it as a
terrifying.
separate model. And so you might think, like, I'll turn on thinking, I'll know its logic, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll have how it's reasoning, and then I
Yeah,
can
but it
use
actually
that to
changes the way it's
no, it's not the same thing.
it's like Schrodinger's, AI or something, the
And if you
observability
turn
layer.
and if you turn on reasoning, it's not actually the reasoning of the model, which is hidden from us. It is a manufacturing of, how it could have reasoned. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Holy shit.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that makes it really hard. Like when like obviously AI engineers like Rolla, she has a different way of thinking about it because she has deeper knowledge of it. But for
Yeah.
me, like I'm just simply like trying to think like as a technical path, like if I turn this on and
Mhm.
off, like can I
Well,
make
yeah,
it predictable so that, if my company takes on this thing, is it predictable for them, for the next 3 years, and then they can
you
swap
can,
this out, or, like, will they pull the rug under us and change something? And basically the answer is like, "Well, I've used the managed ones." Rolla was like, "Ah, you just roll with it and you keep updating." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather use a
that
local model and in the dumbest way possible, make sure there's nothing thinking in front of it, and add my own thinking loop and have something very reliable." But that was
so
my idea.
a couple things. One is the chat's mentioning RAG, which I think might be part of the answer to what I was talking about, which is the idea of like, how, can
Sorry,
we
don't
train the
hear.
model essentially? Can we train the model, like, what is a mud and what are the things it should do? I think RAG is potentially one of the options. Um, just to acknowledge that. But the other one is, to me, I keep seeing apps, and even on the networking side, people are rolling, these apps like, hey, control your network, and with Gen AI, and I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking Gen AI is not deterministic enough to be building your network with. It's not there, right? 95% of the time, it'll give you answer A, but that 5% could be a huge bitch if you're building a network and it decides, because of the training data.
But RAG is not really, like, all RAG means is I'm just reaching out to an external source, and
Well,
I think
it's extra
yeah.
enrichment.
So
It's extra data.
and some people tie it to specifically to vector knowledge bases, which I don't really have that much interest in, to be honest, like for our use case. And
Mhm.
so, yes, we will have to use some kind of retrievement of augmented generation, of course,
Yeah.
but it's not really a solution in terms of like we have to deeply think about the data structure and how that's retrieved. So like if we are
Yeah.
navigating through this world, maybe we should be using a knowledge like a knowledge, not a knowledge graph, but just a graph tree to say like go to the go to the newbie zone, and if you've already encountered it, it knows like go
How
this
to get
way
there.
and not
Yeah.
read anything, just like I don't need to read anything, just go
Right.
straight there, right?
I already know where it is. Yeah.
I not
Right.
only I know there, it's there, I know there's nothing dangerous on the way, so there's nothing that's gonna stop me,
Yeah. No,
right?
that's
So,
true. Yeah, that's a
um,
different thing.
and so, I mean, like, in a sense, I guess that is RAG, but, like, RAG is just it's just to me, it's like saying, I don't know, like, "Yeah, we're gonna build an app, we need to use a text editor," right? So, it's just it will be a component that we will have, in there, but to me, it's like, I don't even think of RAG anymore as initialism, it's just like we're connecting to something. But yeah, the
It's
solutions
just
is
data.
yeah. So the solutions is that's going to be that's one thing. But yeah, the other thing will be managing the world state. So
Hmm.
like again, that could all fit into a graph database because everything is very positional and highly relational. So I don't know.
Do you quickly want to address the whole 0 1, or can you? I don't remember where we left off with the 03A 03B thing in the pre-week.
Oh sure,
Uh,
yeah. I got slides
yeah.
for that.
Okay,
Th-
because
Yeah, yeah.
people are asking like what they should have done for that, and I didn't do anything for it. And I think there was actually, I think you had something in the notes after that video not to do
Yeah,
anything
I'll
with
just
it.
pull it up. 1 second here. So this is well, this doesn't have 3A, 3B in it. Yeah, you mean 7A, 7B?
Well, yeah, but in your repo, it's like 3A and 3B
Oh,
or
it is.
whatever.
Well, we got the
Yeah,
repo
in the
right here
repos.
into week 0.
Yeah,
Oh,
sub-agent
3A, 3B.
SDKs, 3A, 3B. Someone told me the actual videos or the second Explorer agent architecture video, like the notes say basically don't do 3A and 3B, but somebody's asking about it
No, I
because it's
mean,
in
the
your
stuff that I
repo.
said we weren't gonna do is 7A and 7B. Like,
Okay.
we do up to here. Actually, I technically did some of these, but I scrapped the videos. But, 3A, 3B, I don't recall saying not do them.
Somebody
Like,
said they saw it on a video, like
I think the
the
only thing
notes.
I would have said is just watch along here because I don't know what the cost might be.
Oh,
But
that might be the case. So you
right?
don't actually have to do it, like create these
Well,
SDKs and whatnot.
it's not a bad idea to do them. They're not particularly hard to do. I wouldn't skip them. Like I wouldn't not watch them. And yeah, there's nothing in here that's like super hard or costly to do. So there is no reason not to do these. The only thing I
Okay.
can think of is like the only thing I explicitly said that we aren't going to do is 7A 7B because that is what week 2 is.
Yeah, maybe there was a
So
confusion there on the
But
Discord or
but
something. Okay, that makes
3A,
sense.
3B is no, it's there's like some of the videos I might just say, "Hey, look, let me just explore this a bit, and I'll determine if there's actual real cost." But I don't think it makes sense not to do them because there's a lot of value in the subagents, or at the very least, just watch them. You know, so
Okay.
if you don't have time to do them, it's too late, folks. That's okay. But 3A, 3B wasn't shown in any video.
Well, you have two videos, like two Explore Agent Architecture videos. One is like the second one is the longest. I don't remember whether or not you actually did the 3A 3B in that video or not, honestly.
Let me go. Let me just go to the login exam pro here. Bako, do I have videos for that? I must have videos for that, right?
I'll tell you for sure. I didn't do them, but it was because I just finished number 2 under the buzzer because of my work schedule. So that was on me, not necessarily
Let me
on.
take a look here. Because that's some real good stuff in those ones. Let me go take a look here. We're into Claude Code. We'll go into pre-week here. Agent 1, Architecture 2. Where's 3? Did nobody get 3? Hold on a second. Let me go take a look here at my data. Maybe it just wasn't uploaded. As it's totally possible, folks. Let me take a look here into Claude Code pre-week.
That might be the confusion that wasn't a video company as to whether or not it should be done.
Well, look right here. I have not only that, I have 3A, 3B. Yeah, I have 3A, 3B right here. So,
okay. So should we get those?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess people can submit late if they want now, so no problem there. But no, there were I had really good explorations in those ones. I would absolutely want people to watch those ones. And so I think there probably was confusion because there was 7A, 7B, and I said that we weren't going to do those, and then those weren't in our repo. I'm going to just take a quick look at our SharePoint and see if they're uploaded. Maybe I didn't upload them. Let me take a look here. We love SharePoint.
Regardless,
SharePoint's great.
I guess it's one of the things where if we have time, we should go back and we should definitely go back and review them because they're good information.
No, they're extremely valuable, and I don't know if there's anything intertwined in those for future steps here, but I will. Come on, SharePoint, load. Folks, our SharePoint super slow. Check this out. Oh, Bego says they're not in SharePoint. Okay, well, we'll get those uploaded there, folks, and we'll finish that gap here. We're gonna have after class Q&A here in the Discord. And so if anyone wants to come up and ask questions, we'll hang out there for 10, 15 minutes, and we'll see you soon, okay? Ciao, ciao.
Okay, there we go.
We can still hear you, Tim. We're in the background.
Oh, okay.
No, wrong one, Baker. This one.
Nice.
Music on certain days.